It has come time for another Assassin's Creed Valhalla news roundup. There are a few new bits and pieces of information, including a new story trailer, so sit back and enjoy learning all the new bits and pieces of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Firstly, let's talk about that story trailer that dropped. It shows us a few things, plenty of Assassin's Creed elements, and it also shows us some cutscenes which appear to have improved over the cutscenes that we saw in the pre-Ubisoft Forward demo that I got to play. Does that mean an overall improvement is to be expected? Not really. But it will be good to see some proper cutscenes. Back to what the trailer actually shows us, it appears as if there will be a focus on the hidden ones. We knew that they'd be in the game and they'd have some sort of story going on, but it appears as if, since this is the story trailer, it will be a main focus. The trailer introduces us to Sigurd, Eivor's brother, who was first introduced to us in the announcement of a graphic novel. In the early hours of the game, Sigurd returns from a long voyage that has taken him to Constantinople and back. It was in that city where he met and befriended the Hidden Ones and learned many of their customs. Of particular interest to him was the Hidden One's hidden blade, which he refers to as a wrist blade here, one of which he gifts to Eivor. Now, gift-giving in Norse culture was something that showed respect, but apparently what the Hidden Ones think about this gift is something that we'll find out about in the game. So I'm going to be of the mind that they're not going to be a fan of people being randomly given the hidden blade as a gift. So we could wind up having a parallel to Edward Kenway's relationship with the assassins in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, where he sort of takes on their persona with the hood, the robes, and the blade without committing to their creed and using the benefits that gives him to further his own goals, with the narrative eventually leading their paths to fully cross. Could Eivor's relationship with the Brotherhood have a similar function in Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Obviously, I don't really want to compare Eivor to Edward too much because I get the vibe they're going to be different characters with different goals altogether, but maybe there will be some base similarity in how that relationship with the Brotherhood functions. The trailer also emphasizes Basim, or Basim, or sorry, however you pronounce that. I'm really bad at pronouncing names that aren't boring, I guess. Anyway, Basim's clothing appears to resemble that of the Levantine assassins. We know that he likely met Sigurd in Constantinople. It's quite obvious that the Hidden Ones are going to have a huge presence in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's a shame that the marketing for that is few and far between. According to Darby McDevitt, the Hidden Ones are still fighting the Order of Ancients, who are the current enemies in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they have taken over England with their retrograde views. Apparently in the game we're going to dive deep into the beliefs of the Order of the Ancients and see how it differs to the Templars as we know them, and see how the actions of Eivor, Sigurd, and the rest of their clan have a deep and permanent impact on the future of these two groups. The trailer doesn't go too deep into that. What it does emphasize is settling England. Towards the end of the trailer, however, it does appear to show us some Order of Ancients-ish stuff. While there is some Assassin's Creed marketing in this trailer, it's very obvious that the marketing team wants to push the Viking fantasy more than the assassin fantasy. This hashtag like a Viking marketing is starting to bother me a little bit because I don't want to be hashtag like a Viking. I'm sure being a Viking will be a good aspect of the game, don't get me wrong, and I do want it to be there, but what I want to be above all else in the game is an assassin. But again, that's just the marketing. It's either marketing the game to appeal to new players with pushing the Viking element, or the game is going to prioritize the Viking element and it won't really feel like Assassin's Creed, which we know there's plenty of Assassin's Creed elements under the surface, they're just not being pushed. This is the first trailer that I feel reminded us in big bold capital letters that this is indeed Assassin's Creed. It doesn't ignore everything else that's going on, such as settling England, which it shouldn't, but it doesn't pretend that the Hidden Ones and Order of Ancients are some sort of subplot, which gives me a lot of confidence in the game's integrity with regards to Assassin's Creed. We also got some new key art of male and female Eivor standing with Basim behind them, and this entire thing feels like a callback to another piece of key art that we had for Assassin's Creed Revelations, with Ezio and Altair. Now, Darby McDevitt has said that the Hidden Ones are met by Sigurd in Constantinople, which is the setting of Assassin's Creed Revelations. And do you know who the lead writer on that game was? You guessed it. Could this be emphasis on our new Hidden One friend? It could just be a classic Ubisoft, let's do some cool art and get people frothing, but I really hope that this symbolism is something more. Could we even play as this guy at certain points? Now, I don't think I'll believe that, but considering how it worked with Ezio and Altair in Revelations, maybe we could get some Basim memories. At the very least, he'll find himself functioning as some form of assassin mentor figure for Eivor, but at the end of the day, seeing Assassin's Creed elements presented in Assassin's Creed, while it's not really something we should praise because it should be the norm, does make me a bit more confident in the game. Moving on from that back to the trailer, I see a lot of articles getting about how the game looks more polished now, to which I say, It's a trailer, Ubisoft can make it look however which way they want it to. The trailer also introduced us to Randvi, who is another character in the game. She showed up in a previous trailer, I do believe, and people speculated that she was Cassandra. I guess they have similar hair, so they must be the same character. If you've played Odyssey, you'll know that she's chilling in a cave somewhere donning a two-piece suit. And if you haven't played Odyssey, then hopefully I've put you out of your misery. But no, Randvi is a different character and I look forward to finding out more about her. Off the topic of the trailer for a moment, Ubisoft revealed the Ac Sisterhood Insignia, which you can use as a tattoo in the game. If you don't know what that is, it's a movement that started after all the allegations came out from within Ubisoft and their classic obvious approach that women don't sell. The entire point of the movement being that is clearly not the case. I'm never going to do it justice, but my point is, this is support for that movement from amongst the developers. And while it is cool, I can't help but think the marketing team took that as an opportunity to score points, especially considering a day afterwards, the story trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla just featured male Eivor, even though both are supposed to be canon. You'd at least have a mix-up or two versions of the trailer, so at best it's a complete lack of self-awareness at the marketing front, but at worst it could be a continuation of the women don't sell approach. To be fair, the trailer was probably pre-made, but whichever way you look at it, at least there are people within Ubisoft who want to see the change just as badly as the rest of us do. And if that got approved to be marketed, then maybe that's making its way up the chain, but that's always going to be a slow process. I think it's fair to say that a tattoo in a game is not enough considering what has happened, but I also don't think that anybody is saying that it is. Game director Benoit Richer stated that we'll be able to find it in a secret place hidden under one of the 3 major cities in England, which is apparently also a very special secret place. So I'm sure players will have fun looking for that. I know I'll give it a crack. Moving on, in a Ubisoft article, Darby McDevitt also mentioned the topic of multiple endings. The question being, will there be multiple endings? If so, how many? To which the response was, to fully answer this question would spoil some surprises we have in store for players, but I will say that there are multiple fascinating pathways through our epic tale. A story moulded after the Norse sagas of old, in which men and women fought hard against fate, eager to forge their own path, yet always failing time and time again. I read this as maybe there are multiple pathways, but there's no mention of there being multiple endings. It's not a short yes, you can say there are multiple endings without spoiling too much, I guess, but I think what he's saying here is no. There are multiple pathways through the world though, and there will be variations of the ending or something along those lines, but I do think they'll want to keep it concise because, in the end of the day, if they don't, it will be a mess. After all, in other questions answered in this article, McDevitt addressed again that Eivor is a set personality and all choices and dialogue options will be in keeping with that. I don't know why I added a top hat, a monocle and a mustache to the man, but I don't regret it one bit. He also responded to a question about making allegiances, specifically regarding the agency we can have in choosing who we align ourselves with. I guess in a similar vein to how in Odyssey you can choose whether or not you can fight for the Athenians or the Spartans, but you can just play both sides and it means nothing. The response to that question was, all alliances in Assassin's Creed Valhalla are governed by the stories we tell, not by a game system. There is some variability in which alliances Eivor can make, but they are largely fixed by the stories we are telling. This is history, after all. And I feel like the answer to that question could apply to the multiple endings question. There may be some variation based on the choices that you make, but for the most part it's a set story. That would be in keeping with what was said about Eivor as a character and how we approach handling them and forging allegiances in the game. Which I'd imagine the autonomy that we get is, do we go out of our way to form an alliance with these people, or do we just leave them be, as opposed to do we choose to be allies with these guys or those guys, if you know what I mean. But that's just my interpretation. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I didn't mention it before, but earlier this month as well, we got to see a bit of the game running on the Xbox Series S, and it just looks magnificent. I thought I'd mention it now since I didn't mention it before. Another cool thing before we wrap up, somebody asked Darby McDevitt on Twitter about a hint of Robin Hood in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, to which Darby responded with, Robin Hood would have been operating in AC1's time period. We're still 300 years from that era. A certain famous forest is, however, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so you may pretend to be his ancestor. So that means we can visit Sherwood Forest, which is now a confirmed location for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We could have figured out that it would be there considering the forest is ancient, but it's cool to have the confirmation just the same, and who knows, maybe there'll be an Easter egg. But of course Robin Hood wouldn't show up at all in Assassin's Creed because Robin Hood is not real history. There's also a newish screenshot that dropped earlier this month of female Eivor having a drinking contest with somebody, which I guess is worth mentioning, but this is actually the exact same drinking contest from the demo that I played back in July. What I'm trying trying to say is many content creators have seen and posted about this, so I suppose it's not news. And there we had it. I think that's a good conclusion to this video. So, be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff, that would be fantastic. And with any luck, I will be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.